Hi, this is Linda from Brooklyn, and I'm your new best friend. This video is for all those girls out there, you know who you are, that fantasize about getting divorced and want to be free. First of all, if you think you're going to be free, that's actually quite the opposite of what you're going to be. You're going to be a prisoner. You're going to be a prisoner to your divorce. You're going to be a prisoner to the courts. You're going to be a prisoner to the stigma, and you're going to be a prisoner that's lonely. When you walk into a doctor's office with a sore throat and they hand you the clipboard, you're going to have to fill out that information, and when they ask you for the emergency number, you're not going to be able to put your husband. You're going to have to think, oh, should I put my mother, my sister, who should I put there? And then you're going to have to check off that box that says divorced. They give you a choice, and the choice says, marital status, and it says married, single, divorced, separated. And then when you go into the doctor's office, he's looking at you like, you're divorced. He has to take that into consideration with your health report. Now, I've been married, and I've been single, and I've been divorced. So I know the difference between getting your mail at the door slot that says Mr. and Mrs., such and such, the wedding invitation, and the one that says Ms. So now when you get that one that says Ms., you realize, the invitation lady had to write Ms. They had to change their list to say Ms. You are now Ms. You're Ms. And I don't know if you're ready to be Ms. because you don't really understand the consequences of being Ms. You think you're going to have all the things you have now as a married person, plus your freedom and your single. That's not how it's going to be. You're going to have lawyers' letters. Your doorbell is going to ring with notices, paperwork. You're going to have all different situations with your credit, with your finances. You're lucky if you're going to have insurance. And just so many things. In school, they're going to call you Mrs. Such and Such because they don't even realize, and then, you have to correct them. There's all those things. You go in a group, and there's those tactless people who don't know how to make that adjustment because you're in the room and you're not married. And then there's the people who just don't care. I mean, it's your problem. You got divorced. It's your problem. They're not going to change their conversation for you. And, no one's going to donate a Torah for you because you got divorced, If you got widowed, they're going to donate a Torah, Sefer, and they're going to sit Shiva, and they're going to give you all beautiful stories about your family and your husband. They're going to feel sorry for you, and they're going to set you up with people. They're going to do that when you get divorced. And even though they know your husband was a jerk or whatever, no matter what they think of your husband, there's always that two to tango thought, and that, like when your kids are single and they're going to get married, are they going to choose you over the person who's from a happily married family? Are they going to choose your child over the other people? So now I want to talk again about being free. If you want to be free, you can free yourself by not taking things personally. You can free yourself by stop misusing the word abuse. I am sick of everyone using the word abuse. He's abusing me. He's abusing me. You know what? Maybe you could change your response a little bit or your attitude and stop thinking he's abusing you unless he is abusing you. Okay? And if he's not beating the crap out of you, then he's not really abusing you. It's possible he just needs to learn a nicer way of speaking. I mean, they're not all abusers. Is it my imagination, or is everyone and their uncle is an abuser these days? And you ever think you might be abusing him? How many wives are willing to admit they are abusing their husbands a little bit? Isn't everyone a little guilty of treating their husband a little bit like one of the kids? Not everyone is out there respecting everything about their husband and treating him like the king and being the queen. I think a lot of girls are misusing the privilege of being a wife. Yes. I could get killed for this one. I know I'm gonna get killed for this, but you know what? Some people have to hear this, because for some people, what I'm saying is true. Not for everybody. I'm not saying it's true for everybody. And there are clear cases of abuse. And I am not saying you should be a doormat. All I'm saying is that maybe we could clarify exactly what the reasons are why you are seeking a divorce. And possibly, maybe you could talk to a few people who are divorced and ask them, do they feel free now that they're divorced? Do they feel free being the only one in the house that's taking care of the kids? Do they feel free that way? Do they feel free on Friday night when they're lighting their candles and, the kids just left the house and they're going to the other side? Does that make you feel free? Is that the free that you want to be? Do you think the grass is greener on the other side? Maybe in your fantasy it is, but for sure not in your checkbook. You know the expression, it's cheaper to keep her? Guess what? It's cheaper to keep him too, even if he's giving you less than before. Congratulations. He's not giving you what he used to. Sorry. He's still giving you. And you know what? 2 heads are better than 1. You're raising kids, you're raising a family. 2 heads are better than 1. I mean, if every husband divorced his wife for those abuses that the wife is doing, like, for example, spending over the budget, needing more vacations than he could afford, not being realistic about, your finances, you are subtly abusing him also. But I don't see the husbands going around saying, she's abusing me, I'm going to divorce her. They're just croaking. Left and right. I think a lot of the expectations that you may initially have started out with are giving you the sense that you're being abused because, your expectations started out a certain way, and then, maybe the economy, maybe his job status, it could be the way, a million things that could have changed. Even just bringing the blessings and the children into the situation could put a lot of pressure, on your finances. And just plain old keeping up with the Joneses. The keeping up with the Joneses will get you every time. It'll get you every time. I can't think of a better vacation than staying home. Home, sweet home. You might feel like you're sleeping easier when you're not overspending. Now, I know you could be thinking, oh, I'm working too. I work and I'm trying. And you know what? Sit down with a pencil and paper and ask yourself, what is the problem? Are you willing to be honest? Are you willing to be honest that maybe you're not the one who could afford this and that and that and this? Are you willing to be honest about what he really could afford and, what you think you need? Is it my imagination? My grandmother, I remember she said they got married and they lived with a bridge table set. A table and 4 chairs. They had a place to sit down and eat their dinner. And it wasn't on their mind to think, oh, I want to be free. It wasn't on their mind to think, I want a divorce. It wasn't on their mind to get a divorce, to think someone's abusing them. Whatever it was, they dealt with it because nobody's perfect. No one is perfect. And you could talk to him about the way he treats you. You could sit down and say, you know what, honey, I could be wrong, but maybe I feel that I should be treated differently. Or maybe I could be wrong, but I'm just feeling like you should be giving me more money weekly. Or maybe you could start saving the receipts. Show him how much you're spending in the supermarket. Sit down and talk about it. talk about it in between your stock answers. Don't talk too much, you know. If you're divorced, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for the comments and the questions. You know, they're going to ask you. They're going to look at you like, you know, what do you do with yourself every night? They're going to look at you like that. And if they see you out somewhere, they're going to look at you like that. You know, and no matter what you do, they're going to be looking at you. Are you ready for someone to be looking at you like, stay away from my husband, please? She'll just like shove him to the other side of the room because she wants to avoid you because you're divorced. Are you ready not to be able to even say a sentence? Because if you say a sentence and you're divorced, they will treat you differently than if you say a sentence and you're married. It's as simple as that. And these are things you can't experience while you're in the fantasy stage of, oh, I wish I was divorced and I wish I was free. You're not going to be free. If you want to be free, stop taking things personally. Then you'll be free. You want to be free? Stop being so on guard for something that he might say that is hurtful. Don't be so on guard for it. You know, if he's going to say something and he's a little tactless, or he just doesn't come out with the right things to say, that's no reason for you to get divorced. That's not grounds for divorce. You know what grounds for divorce is? You know, a drug addict, an alcoholic, a guy that's you're afraid of him, you're scared to be in the room with him, and a man that you can't leave your pocketbook in the room with. And there's probably a few others. I can't think of it right now, but whatever it is, a gambler, someone who's gambling every penny that you're saving. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's nothing more frustrating than a gambler. By the way, if he is telling you a few insulting things, you might want to see if you need a little adjustment and correction. You know, maybe he's telling you something insulting and you're insulted, but maybe it's true, you know. Maybe it's time to lose those 10 pounds, you know, or maybe it's time to get a makeover. Maybe it's time to pick up a new set of sheets for the bedroom. Now, I know I could get killed, absolutely killed for this one, but, you know, you could buy a Playboy magazine and keep it in the bedroom, and, you know, you're better off with him looking at a Playboy magazine and getting juiced up a little bit, instead of him being on Facebook, where there's real people to look at, and online, with real women that are actually there approaching him. Just, you know, you're better off with him, with you in the bedroom, you and him alone with your Playboy magazine or whatever it is that want to stimulate. You know, sometimes they need a little more stimulation. Okay, so you could kill me for that one, and I apologize in advance. But you know what? Buying Playboy magazine and reading it with your husband in bed is a lot better than getting divorced. And the Rebbitzin is not going to tell you that, because the Rebbitzins come from a beautiful lifestyle of living the Torah way and with the blue blood that they're all married to. And what are you going to do? They're not going to give you that suggestion, but I am. I'm Linda from Brooklyn, and I'm your new best friend. I love you all. You think you're ready to get a divorce? Excuse me, you're not even ready for a sore throat. You get a sore throat, you're gonna walk into the doctor's office, and the receptionist is gonna hand you the clipboard, and you're gonna have to fill out the information. Are you gonna check off the divorced box where it says marital status? Who are you gonna put for the emergency number? You're not gonna put your husband if you get divorced. You're gonna have to think, oh, should I put my mother? Oh, my mother's in Florida in the winter. Should I put my friend? Oh, I don't want to really ask her. Should I put my sister? I'm always a burden. You're not even ready for a sore throat. So forget about getting divorced. It's not an option. And stop looking at these girls who got divorced like they're such a success story. They're not a success story. They're just making the best of their life, just like everyone does. Everyone has to make the best of their life. It's not a one-sentence thing. Oh, she remarried and she's happy. Do you think her life is just simple and happy because she remarried? There's all kinds of strings of the previous marriage and the previous this and the new husband and the new husband's family and whatever. You can't even get through the prenup. You're lucky if you get through the prenup. So don't tell me it's a success story. It's not a success story. They are just making the best of what they have, after the situation. I think people have to stop looking at women who remarried as inspiration. These women who got divorced suffered, and they are making the best situation out of what they had. And they're not going to go wearing a sign in the street that says, my life is difficult even though I'm remarried. And, I have stepchildren and he has stepchildren and, all the different problems that come up. Nobody goes in the street wearing a sign, these are my problems now that I remarried. They just come out with that one sentence. Oh, she remarried and she's happy now. Oh, really? Really? Is that the way life is? That you just remarry and you're happy? You might as well be happy with your own husband. All right, supposing you're fighting over something that everybody fights about. Let's say money, for instance, okay? Everyone fights about money, right? So you're fighting with your first husband about money. Do you think that you're not going to fight about money with your second husband? With your second husband, you're not even going to be entitled to anything. You're lucky if you get through that prenuptial agreement. That's assuming he wants to marry you at all. And it's murder. It is murder. It is like walking on nails. You think remarrying is easy? It's just a new set of problems with another person who is not the father of your children. And you're making the best of your life, and you're not going to have that feeling of, wow, I lived a loving life from beginning to end. Love from beginning to end. There's bumps. So you're better off just, going over those bumps than just going out and getting a whole new set of bumps with a new guy. You need like all these new bumps. Okay, so now with the second husband and third, forget about it. But with the second husband, the money is different than with the first husband. So now you don't have, let's say, the problem you had with the first husband, but you have this new scorekeeping way of life. And scorekeepers never have shalom bayit. A scorekeeper is like, oh, you paid for this, I paid for that, he paid for this, you should pay for that. You should pay for this because you have children. You should pay for that dinner. You should pay for this birthday present. You're going together to the wedding. Who's paying for the gift? Every time you move, breathe, or talk, you are going to be negotiating. So just negotiate with your own husband and try to be understanding, see him through the difficult periods of his life, and do the best you can with what you have. Divorce is not an alternative. It's not. It sounds like an escape, but it's not an escape. It's not. Why don't you ask someone who's been divorced? Go ask them. Go ask them what they are going through, what they went through, how they never recovered from those scars of the divorce, from the betrayal, from the lies, from the attorneys. Why do you think I built my website? Why? Okay, let's define what a wife is. A first wife is someone that is so-called entitled to things, She's the first wife, and you have no negative baggage that you're bringing with you with the first wife. The second wife is not entitled to the things that the first wife is entitled to, and that's a little bit shocking for the wife because she still thinks she's a wife. But you are not a wife, you are a second wife. A second wife is a different definition. And you have to first learn how to be a second wife. The art of being a second wife is difficult. And the chances and the odds and the statistics of being a second wife is worse than the statistics of getting divorced a second time is higher, much higher than getting divorced the first time. So if you think you're going to get divorced and you're going to win a new prize and you're going to get a new husband and you're going to have a do-over and you're going to be smarter and do things differently, it's not so easy. It's not so easy. Nobody said it was easy. They all said marriage was work. From the first day, you stand under the chuppah, and it's a three-way partnership, you, your husband, and Hashem. Why do you think you need Hashem as a partner? Because you and your husband is not enough, that's for sure. You're going to need the blessing. You're going to need the mezuzah on every doorpost. When you walk in your house, put your hand up. You better kiss that mezuzah because you need it, baby. You need it. And every word that's uttered in your house, Hashem is listening. When you raise your voice, you are driving the divine presence right out of your home with every sarcastic comment. It's not easy to be a first wife, but being a first wife is better than being a second wife or a third wife. It may seem glamorous to be married twice, 3 times. It may seem glamorous to you. There's nothing glamorous about it. Nothing. There's nothing glamorous about your children going to the other side of the family for dinner and you're just really divorced from them. You're divorced. And by the time a husband gets burned in his first divorce and he thinks his wife took everything, or he thinks he's just like so devastated from the experience of being separated from his children in his own home and paying for it, and just so hurt that husband is not going to be the same husband going into the first marriage like he is going into the second. He's going to bring a lot of that anger, comes right into the second marriage and lands on you. If you're the second wife, where do you think it lands? It's going to land on you. It may translate into him being cheaper with you. It may translate into him, not wanting to be taken advantage of in certain ways, or perceiving himself as being taken advantage of even if he's not. It's not easy for a man that gets divorced to come into the second marriage. He's not going to come in with the same trust, with the same innocence, and neither are you. So you're better off trusting your own husband and your own marriage, living with your own children, and trying hard to make that work, however imperfect. You can still come out a winner. You can still come out a winner as a family, with your results with your children and with your happiness. And you will be happy. Maybe you won't be happy every day or right now this second while you're contemplating a divorce. I don't even want to use the D word because it's such a disaster. But, I think now people are into telling the truth, hearing the truth. How can I describe it? You know that fence everyone's always talking about, the wall, building the wall? When you're divorced, it feels like you're like a small person and there's a big wall and you have to climb over the wall and get to the married side, and you're so relieved when you finally get to the married side. And when you get to the married side, it's like, oh my God, I'm on the other side of the fence now. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you're on the married side of the fence. With your first husband, you are on the married side of the fence. Just stay on that side of the fence. It's a good side to be on. You're on the married side of the fence. Stay there. Raise your family and minimize your expectation about the things that you don't like about your spouse. You know the things you don't like about your spouse. Those are the things that you initially loved when you were dating. And it's the same thing it's the same thing when you get married, and the things that you're gonna like are the things that you thought you didn't like. So whatever your husband's flaws are, you're gonna end up liking them. The flaws are, you're gonna end up seeing the pluses in those flaws. You can view them differently. It's the same like when you get married and you think, oh, those things I loved about my husband, I hate them now. Why do they always say that the things that you loved when you were dating that you don't like now about your husband, that you don't like later about your husband? Well, it's the same thing. The things that you didn't like about your husband when you were dating, you start to learn to like them. You say, you know what, it's good he's like that. It's good he's like that. I used to think, I don't want to mention names, one of my husbands, a little bossy and controlling, and I thought to myself, oh, he's so bossy and controlling. But then I said, you know what, it's not a bad quality. He's controlling things, and he's the boss. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Flip it. Flip those flaws. Flip those flaws with your own husband and stay married and stay on the married side of the fence. Because you're lucky to be there. You're lucky to be there. You think you're going to get a lawyer and a lawyer's going to defend you? The lawyer's going to wipe the floors with you. He's going to take all your money. He's going to make you feel worse. He's trained to argue. He's trained to make you feel miserable. That's what they teach them. They teach them how to flip everything. Well, you're going to flip it. You're going to flip your own husband into a good husband. Make the best out of your husband. He's the father of your children. Stay with your family. Be happy. And be happy with what you have. And if you're not, you'll work on getting happier little by little. I mean, nobody's ever perfectly happy. That's the way it's human nature. You can't stay on a high thing. It's like up and down. That's life. Life is up and down. You want to be resting in peace? You might as well be dead. So when you're dead, you'll be resting in peace. Okay? But now that you're married, you have children, and you're raising a family, and you have a husband, so you have to ride the wave. Get on that surfboard and ride the wave. Hold on to the surfboard. Don't drown. Because the people who drown are not the ones who fell in the water. It's the ones who stayed in the water. They stayed under the water. That's how they drowned. Yeah, you could fall into the water here. You could fall into the water there. But are you going to let yourself drown? No. You have to get up and get your head above the water on the married side of the fence. Stay on the married side of the fence. I have been there. Been there. I am not telling you this like an idealistic person. I am telling you this because I've been on both sides. I've been on the single side, on the divorced side, the married side, the single side, the divorced side, and the married side. And you know what? It's nice to be on the married side.